key stock that we are going to speak about is Infosys. So the first key point about Infosys is that the results came out very recently and the results were not very encouraging. Even the management looked a little bit confused कि यार करना क्या है, not sure where the growth is going to come from. So general commentary was given that slowdown हो गया US में, therefore our stock price has fallen, this that. I've been saying for the last 8 to 10 months, please go and watch my videos, that I am not bullish about Indian IT industry. I got TCS at very low prices. I purchased it and I sold it, right? And then whatever new positions I'm building in Nifty IT. Please watch this section of the video about Infosys stock analysis. You will understand why. I will break it down in very simple, easy to understand language. And also a very, very humble request that please like these type of videos. Please subscribe. Majority of the people just watch and go away. They don't like the video. They don't subscribe. Please do it. It will help these type of videos reach out to more people. I know that you haven't liked it. So like the video now. And if you don't like the Infosys analysis, then you can dislike it. So the first key point that you need to understand about Infosys is that take a look at the breakup of where Infosys makes money. So it makes a lot of money from the US. So the dependence on the US and European market for Indian IT companies is fairly high. And this includes Infosys as well. Now what is happening in the global economy is, and I do agree with the Infosys commentary there, कि देखो US में there are a lot of problems that are going. For example, slowdown of the US economy, sudden spike in inflation. Now they are trying to bring it back. The US Fed looks confused. US banking crisis happened. So many problems have been there and it directly or indirectly impacts the Indian IT industry. So no doubt about that from a macro perspective, this is not a healthy sign for Indian IT industry. This is point one. Point number two, you need to study the deeper reason for the fall of Infosys stock. So let me first show you the chart very quickly. So what you will see is that from the top, Infosys stock has corrected by roughly 26-27%. So this is a substantial dip in a way. But the point that you need to remember is that if you study the pre-COVID prices, you will see that the rise on Infosys stock price is still roughly 75%. So this is not a very low rise, so to say, that over the last 3 years, Infosys stock has gone up by 75%. So just because it has fallen by 26% does not mean that Infosys is an undervalued stock as of now. So this is the second key point that you should know. Now the third key point that you should understand is that you should study the US tech market and US banking market, because these are the primary clients of Infosys or companies like Infosys. They give a lot of back-end work to Indian IT companies, and these Indian IT companies export a lot of services to the US. Therefore, you end up seeing charts like this, where Infosys right now makes almost 70-75% of its money by exporting services to the US. So expanding upon this point 3, what has happened? They are basically consolidating their capacity as of now. They are not looking to hire people too aggressively. They are figuring out what to do next. So in simple terms, this is a consolidation phase in the US tech industry. What is going to happen, or what is rather happening during this time in the US, is the companies are going to decide that where is this next layer of growth that is going to come for us. For example, if you go back 3-4 years back, a lot of companies were focusing on cloud storage. So cloud was probably the biggest area that every big company was looking at. Now, what is the narrative? They are looking at AI. And this is the statement from CEO of Infosys. This is a very recent statement that even Infosys is going to focus on AI and developing AI capabilities, vagera, vagera. So here is a very quick flow chart and it will help you understand Infosys business model in a slightly more nuanced manner. So this is what it would look like. So basically, when it comes to big banks and big tech companies in the US, what they do is that they decide on a focus area first. For example, it could be cloud computing, or it could be cloud-based storage, or AWS system that Amazon generally uses. And now you might have figured out that Amazon is actually making more money from its AWS compared to its retail segment, right? So all these things are there, that one focus area is decided, whichever is a booming area during that time. All the US tech companies, or at least a large chunk of them, jump onto developing their expertise. And then final step is that they try to scale. This is where these back-end tech companies like TCS, Infosys come into the equation, that they help these companies scale their areas of expertise very, very quickly. So this is the simple equation, and this leads to a start and stop effect in the technology segment. Now, what is the meaning of that? The easiest representation of that would be that you go and study the pricing history or stock price history of Infosys itself. So you will get an idea. So let me take you through that. So let us study the pricing history from 2014 onwards. So this is like December of 2014, the stock was at 580, 590. And all the way from 2014 to March or April of 2018. So 4 years, 0% return on Infosys. Then it gave a run up all the way till here. Then it again stagnated for how many years? If you compute, then it roughly stagnated for 2 years. Then what happened in this final leg? So this was a rally and this was again a consolidation phase. This was a consolidation phase. This was a consolidation phase. The point I'm trying to drive home is very simple, that there is something called as start and stop that happens with the Indian IT sector. Why does that happen? It's very, very simple. Because when some big tech company in the US, it tries to scale the technology on which it is focusing, that is when the Indian IT companies make the most money. So that is the simple equation, and therefore I see very limited point in taking or building huge positions in individual IT stocks in India. All that, according to me, is a very, very highly risky strategy. And you know, people who have been watching me for the last 1.5 to 2 years, I have simply built my position on US tech stocks. Whatever tech investing I had to do, I had spread it on the US tech stocks only. I purchased TCS and Zomato. So Zomato is something that I still hold. TCS I sold, and whatever new positions I have built it on Nifty IT. Now you might have a very natural question that, okay, that if you're not a believer in Indian IT companies, why are you building positions in Nifty IT? So, okay, so let me quickly clarify that. So there are two reasons. Number one is that we don't know to what extent these specific technologies are on the innovation curve. That is this mature enough, or are large scale solutions will be built around it and companies are going to benefit from it? We don't know at what stage of maturity these different things are. It might very well happen that cloud still turns out to be the #1 money-making machine for something like Amazon, even in the next 5 years. We cannot say, right? Or it might happen that AI might gain more prominence. Now, we don't know if Infosys, TCS, Infosys, or which company will try to develop their expertise here, right? So this is the first key reason that I do not know. The second key area has to do with regulations. Now, almost all the Indian IT firms, they export their services abroad. We can't be sure कि Infosys को ही contract मिलेगा या TCS only will win contract or Infosys will only win contract. We cannot say that. So therefore, according to me, diversifying your bet is a much better strategy than picking concentrated bet on the Indian IT sector. So that brings us to the final question about Infosys कि Indian IT stocks को touch ही क्यों करना है? Why do you want to even touch the Indian IT stocks? Can't you just do away with them and invest only in banks or whatever? Yes, that's a very valid argument. But see, think about this, and please do not bring the nationalistic sentiment into play. Think about it rationally, that at the back end, you need some players to support the front end technology drivers. So you have Amazon, Google, Netflix, all these companies which are like leading the pack when it comes to technology. And at the back end, we need someone to drive that engine. So that engine will definitely be IT companies. So therefore, it makes sense to buy and build your positions in Indian IT stocks. No doubt about that. I don't know which individual companies are going to win, but Indian IT industry is definitely going to do well. And in fact, if you study the fundamentals, that fundamentally has something gone wrong with the Indian IT industry. So take, for example, Infosys only. So here you will see that it has an ROIC, or return on invested capital, which is close to 30.4%. And this is the last 5-year average. So the return that they make by investing 100 rupees, they are able to make 30 rupees additional return on it, which is very good. So they are not a capital destruction firm. On top of this, they sit on massive amount of cash flows. This is true for almost every tech company, that they are not primarily debt driven. They have a lot of asset light infrastructure in place. So therefore, with this entire cash flow, they are able to manage the situation. And this allows them to stay light, even if they are not making crazy returns for 4-5 years, they are able to survive the situation. You as a retail person will make a loss by investing in these companies if you're not patient enough. If your viewpoint is that aaj Infosys kharida and I should sell it off in another 4-5 months or 1 year or 2 years, then you will not make any money. And if that is the perspective with which you are operating, then please stay away from